Welcome to the Twisted Tentacle Inn. I'm your Innkeeper Vase Odin, and today we'll be reviewing the Devourer Below. After having interviewed several cultists in Arkham, the investigators have found out about a dark ritual happening in Arkham Woods that same night. Determined to thwart the ghoul cult from completing their devious plan, the investigators and their newfound friend, the Zealot, Lita Chandler, head out into the Arkham Woods to try and stop them. Fearing they may already be too late, the investigators rush in, encountered by several cultists and ghouls, and as the fate of Arkham is in their hands, they must make a difficult decision, one that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. The Devourer Below gives a pretty satisfying ending to the mini-campaign from the starter box set, and sets you up to accept that you can still win without having to get a good ending. In other words, I learned to appreciate the story that was told more than winning. The end also sometimes forces you to make a choice between several things when none of them is specifically ideal. This gave a true horror feel to the game for me. The final battles are difficult, but not unwinnable, and I think that that added to kind of the interest in the game, finding a way to make a deck that'll be able to stand up against Umar and survive, and maybe even kill him. The scenario also introduces random locations, so you're just pulling from a deck of, I think it's 6 cards, and you're just randomly placing the locations on the map as you explore the woods. So it kind of gives a little bit more replayability because of the, each time you play, you might get something different. Like The Gathering, you can cheat the scenario and prepare for the final battle, although this one is a bit more difficult than The Gathering. The scenario feels a bit generic after having played through some others, especially after playing through several different campaigns, and it can also be extremely punishing if you didn't resign in the previous scenario, which made me feel a bit cheated in my first playthrough. Another thing I didn't particularly like is if you try to advance the act, you can get punished much more versus not advancing it. And the end result is the same whether you advance it or not, with the only exception being when you try to disrupt the ritual, and thereby completely skipping the final battle. This made it feel like it was pointless for me to try to do anything but sit in one location, accumulating cards and resources, and setting up my board. Although this strategy works when I've done it a few times, it just didn't give me a sense of accomplishment when I beat the scenario. So, I'm forced to do something that I know is going to hurt me and my progress in the end. In terms of story, I think it just feels pretty generic. Cultists in the woods summoning a great old one. It's been done plenty of times before. I do cut it slack because it is part of the starter set, so I understand why they had to do it. But it's nothing that's going to blow your mind or anything like that. There are no twists or anything, so, it's okay. On the first playthrough, the Devourer Below is pretty cool because you don't know what to expect, and some of the things come at you out of left field, and it's a lot of fun. But after several playthroughs, it starts to feel a bit bland for me, even when just compared to the first 2 scenarios of the core set. When comparing it to other expansions, this feels exponentially more bland. Not to say that it's bad, but flavor-wise, story-wise, and just overall, even scenarios that are, in my opinion, worse, still tend to have more interesting things happening in terms of mechanics and story elements. So overall, I think I'm just going to give this a straight middle of the road. Story, 3 mental trauma, and mechanics, I'm going to end up giving it 2 mental trauma because of the big misstep in allowing a loophole to happen where you can kind of just cheat through it. For The Gathering, it's a bit more forgivable because it's the introductory adventure, but for this one, I honestly don't feel that something like that should be an option. And that does it for our review of the Devourer Below. Hopefully you found the review helpful. If you did, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel out, and I certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you all next time.